Good evening guys, Stefan here with another PoE video for the preparation for the upcoming expansion 3.20 which will drop next Friday. So I did promise to show you my league starting plan, so this is what I'm gonna do. We'll go over the POBs. I've selected a few POBs that I have gotten from the website called poeninja.com, which I would advise pretty much everybody watching my content. I would assume it is, people that are just trying to learn a little bit about the game, people that maybe have got a little bit of time on their hands, or they're just trying to become more efficient players and accomplish more results in maybe their limited playing time, or just people that maybe have never tried to do Uber endgame content. So I thought it would be an interesting journey for you guys to see me try to accomplish these things and just show you my progression. So hopefully you can learn something from it. So my process of deciding on a league starter is that maybe I've a character archetype that I've wanted to play for a long time. So I'll think about what skill I want to use. I'll go on PoE Ninja, and then I'll just get inspiration from people that have, maybe better knowledge of the game and about interactions that I haven't noticed, or they just build their characters in a clever way than what I'll do. So I'll get my character plan from PoE Ninja, and then I'll just use it to progress my atlas, which is the most interesting part of playing the game for me. Just the journey for starting at maps tier level 1 and then progressing all the way to 16s, and along the way you're able to do a lot more side content, which is the cool thing about the game. There is so many different things that you can focus on, so that each league you're trying out a different strategy, trying out a different build, and every league for me is just like starting all over again. I learn new things about the game all the time, and that's the pretty cool thing about PoE. There is just so many different mechanics that you can literally dedicate entire leagues to try to understand just one specific system, and there's still be lots of things that you just wouldn't know about it. So it's just one constant journey of discovery playing that game, and that's why I keep coming back league after league. So as I was saying, we'll go to PoE Ninja, and what I'll show you is, say, even if you have zero knowledge of how to make your own build, you can find a build which has been put together really well by someone, and they've managed to get to, say, level 100 in 2 weeks in solo self-found hardcore. So you know that the build is solid, you know that you don't need a lot of gear for it. So why not just use their knowledge and just get to enjoy the end game of PoE, which is essentially where the fun really starts. So let's go to PoE Ninja. I'll put the link down in the description below, but I'm sure that you'll be able to find it on your own as well. As I said, the name of the site is poe.ninja.com. So you go there, you go to builds, and say you've had an archetype, you've watched a video, or you've come across some builds on the forum and are thinking, okay, can I actually league star that? So you'd go, let's say I don't know, would go to the league, so go to SSF hardcore. So I generally prefer the hardcore playstyle, although that I do play softcore because I do get pretty crappy internet sometimes. I'll lose connection and I'll just randomly die. So I don't want to lose like the few days or weeks or however long I've invested to the character to some silly technical error. And I'm also not the greatest of players technically. I do have a good knowledge of the game because I've been playing it for so long, but I'm still not a great player. I still die to like stupid things, or I still would like rush into a pack of enemy and just get body blocked and die, or get a bleed inflicted on me and just like fall over. So yeah, I do play softcore, but I like the hardcore mentality. This is the type of builds I play. So let's see, let's select the first 3 days of the league. So this will show you all the top characters that are in the league, like past level 90 or something. So where is the level? So you've got on 98, 97. You can also select if you want to do a particular class, but you're not sure maybe what build you can do. Let's say I want to play, what do I want to play? What are the less... I've actually wanted to play Assassin for a long time, so let's see what people are playing as Assassin. Obviously, super low representation, 0.8%. That's not a popular class in solo self-found hardcore. What are they playing? Yeah, sure, Spectral Helix. Not something I enjoy personally. I despise this skill, and I just refuse to level with it. I did try it in the Endless Stealth event. It was like, okay, it was powerful. It was, especially in Delve, because you're just going straight basically. So you're just walking walking a little bit, attacking, walking, attacking. It was super easy just to demolish everything, but it's super repetitive. And that's coming from someone that enjoys a repetitive playstyle. So no, I'm not going to be doing Helix. This guy's doing Winter Orb. Now that is actually potentially a very interesting... Okay, he's level 79 in 3 days. Alright, let's see how far did that guy go. If we go further, let's say he's not playing a lot, so maybe the first 3 days you get to 79 and then you continue playing later. Let's go to week 4, let's say. He's 87. It's not looking promising. This guy either doesn't play at all or the build sucks. Okay, let's go to 10 weeks. 87, so he stopped playing from what I can see. Which maybe... Okay, let's see. What's his gear? What does he have? If you're channeling, Winter Orb, Greater Multi, Critical, Onslaught. Yeah, gear is not great. What was his life? He had 7k life. 760 S. Evasion pretty low. Or was it 3 like 12? Chance to suppress spell damage. Oh, that's his master, is okay. Okay, we don't want to be following build that never made it past 87, no. Let's see, is there anything viable in Assassin? I mean, it looks like Assassin wasn't very good. What builds were there at the end of the first week? Okay, so they do manage to get to 100 pretty reasonably. I mean, I'm not the type of person that wants to reroll constantly. I do like to reroll a few times, but then I'll play those, let's say, 3 or 4 characters for the rest of the league. So that's 3 months. For some people, they just play like 2 weeks or a week even, and just complete everything. I don't like consuming the game in that way. It just makes you really get bored of it so quickly. It just becomes like a job. I like to enjoy the league for like the 3 months because I'm just having fun. So, rerolling, wanting to roll another character if you get a specific item or you want to do something different with your Atlas strategy, just comes naturally because the game to me is like a puzzle. You can just start over from the beginning every time, and the fun is just the journey of getting there. So let's see, 100. What did he play? Okay, so Pestilence Strike. I don't know if I want to play that. Sanguinate, Seismic. I've sort of played that before. Spectrohelix, Forbidden Right. Okay, right. Let's see. That actually sounds. I've wanted to do that build, but I never actually did it. Right, so let's get into that character. What's the guy doing? So, okay, so he does have a Timely Duo, so that's a pretty big investment by itself. 8 passive, increased cast damage. Pretty poorly rolled, to be honest. Then increased mana efficiency, reservation of skills, self-control. Okay, so he does have 2 increased mana efficiency. Oh no, that's increased maximum energy, sure, okay. Jaws are, yeah, pretty good Jaws. What's his gear like? He does have a 6 link, so what's he doing? Custom critical. Increase critical, power charge. Okay, show charge, faster attacks, withering step, frost shield, purity of elements. Okay, so he's elemental immune, lightning warp, frost shield. That's his. Is that the guard skill or not? No, it's not classed as a guard skill. Okay, but yeah, that gives him mitigation, some percentage to critical strike for spells. Shield is pretty mediocre. The actual Varig area, it's not that great either. Increased mana, reservation efficiency skills, maximum lightning resist. Got good good implicits on that, but the actual helmet, I mean, he's even done 3 crafted modifiers, so +1. Yeah, that's so he's getting +1 on his auras. 74 increased energy shield, increased area of effect. Decent, actually. That's decent. Irrelevant. Enchant. Then his dagger. He's doing increased critical strike chance, but 4 quality. Okay, so but that's probably local, or is it? I'm not sure. If it's local, it's irrelevant for him. But if it's global, that's quite good. So it. Yeah, I mean, the other one, it says it is global, so that one I would assume it's local, so It doesn't actually give him anything. He's done crafted modifiers on that one as well. Increase critical strike chance, but that's probably again local or global. Not sure about that as well. If anybody knows the answer to that questions, do let me know in the comments, please. I would appreciate that. 50%, 54 spell damage. Hits can be evaded. Okay, yeah, hits can be evaded. It's huge because then he doesn't need any accuracy. Because he needs to be critting. Needs to be hitting to be critting. But yeah, I mean, his gear is not that great, and I mean, what level is he? 97. I mean, that's a huge investment. What's his energy shield? Okay, 8.4. I mean, with that gear, he manages to get that amount of ES. That's actually crazy. Chaos inoculation. So, what ES is he picking up? I mean, in here is a little bit of ES. Here, I don't think he's getting any ES along here. Maybe here. That's a duo that I think that's. Is that the power charge? Does it say how much increased percentage? No, it does not. But yeah, that looks like an interesting character. How do you level that? Let me see actually what his ascendancy. What ascendancy points does he have? Assassin. So he's got. Okay. Unstable infusion, so 10% chance to gain power charge on critical, max power charge non-critical. Oh, that's the small note on him. Power charge duration and critical strikes, and then he's got those multi crit chance, damage from your critical strikes cannot be reflected. That's irrelevant. 25% more damage with, well, there's at most one rare unique, so that's 25% more damage for bossing. I mean, that does look pretty huge on paper, but how many at most one rare. I mean, a lot of the like Maven style things, the actual fights before Maven, there is a lot of bosses, so this 25% doesn't apply in that case. But for most bosses, the ones that are just one boss per map, that would be 25% more, and then 20% reduced damage taken while there are at least 2 rare or unique enemies. But it's just reduced damage, not less damage. But again, 20% reduced, free reduction. What's that one? Ambush assassinate. 50% more damage with hits and elements against enemies that are on low life. 50% crit multi against that are on full life. Crit chance on full life. Crit chance against enemies that are on low life. Critical strikes have culling strike. So basically he does get mainly but just more damage in crits, and that 20% reduced damage is like, this class has no mitigation. There's no mitigation. Right, I have to see it. I have to have his tree. I just want to see what exactly he's done, because he's obviously 97 in hardcore solo self-found. So what you do is come over here, copy that link, go to your POB. Let me just switch the views. Let's go to POB. Right. we are in the POB, so let's import. Go to import, export build, go to the bit here, paste that link. That should say code is valid. So click import. And that's the build. It would have his skills, it would have the items, obviously. The thing with some builds is that there will be no leveling section, there will be no guide, it will be just a snapshot at the point when the build is in real time. So it wouldn't show you how to level it, because a lot of times you'd level something, then you'd transition into your final build quite late into the game. So sometimes even as far as 96, 97, 98 in extreme cases. But you don't know exactly how the build was done. That just comes with experience. That just comes with playing different builds. That's why I like pretty much any archetype in the game, because trying to start from the beginning in an SSF environment is just so much fun. Trying to find your way around, trying to find some ways to cut corners, to progress quicker, to find certain things easier. That's where the fun comes in me. I became particularly interested in the game because I did say that I have played it for many years, but it wasn't until they introduced the Atlas tree that I became really interested in playing more characters, trying different strategies. Previously, because to get a lot of different mechanics into the game, you needed to invest a lot of money, and I never was a player that particularly enjoyed getting a lot of money in Trade League. I would stop at about 20, 30x, and that was it. And even with that amount of money, if you wanted to spend the time outside of actually playing the game, we could make bank. You could get into different strategies, because the trade economy, I would say, is mainly a different game. You can learn to play that if that's what interests you. But I find, to me, it was so distracting from the actual game that I wanted to play, which is just, progressing the character. Plus, if I were playing in trade, you'd get kitted out with your... Not perfect, because, perfect gear takes a very long time to acquire in the game, but I would say that by day 2 or 3, you'd get really nice gear that would allow you to play pretty much just chain T16s and just go through them super quick. But then I would get bored extremely quickly. Well, in the SSF, I would say it takes me more like a week to get my good gear for mid to late red maps. By the end of week 2, I'll be like chaining T16s. I'll be just able to go through them the same speed that I'll be going through tier 10s the week before, just because you upgrade your gear, you get some gem levels, and that's the most fascinating part of PoE for me, that you just start the journey every time. So let's see what the guy's stats are. So if we go over here, it's got 168 ES, which last time I played a ES-based character was I think it was the first Endless Delph event. I did play some sort of code.es Chaos Inoculation build, which was really comfy to play, to be honest, but I had more like, I think, 200-ish ES. And it felt really good, to be honest. I felt very tanky, although ES was pretty much, except for block. I think I did have max spell block and max block, but I've deleted that character a long time ago to free up slots. Life, obviously, life is one because of Chaos Inoculation that he's had. Increase mana 70, so not a lot of extra. Unreserved, yeah, so there's something wrong with his auras. He must have maybe unequipped something or over leveled something. I'm not sure. Let's see, what skills does he have aura wise? So he's got defiance, determination, clarity, and discipline. So 4 auras just here. And that's pretty much everything. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get anything else. Oh, he's got purity of elements as well. Okay. So how much mana reservation? He's got that one. He's got that one. But okay, let's see if we do get. What was the other aura reservation? Was it that one? Oh no, it was down here. 2 points over. What can I drop for 2 points? I mean, why does he have that? Why does he have the life? Okay, so that's points that we don't need, actually. He must have just forgot to update it. Or to... When he was doing the respec, he probably just forgot about them. So, we've got the points. We're actually... Can we actually take a mastery here? Because we've got 1 more point, and if we want to take that build to 120, that increased life regen... life reservation efficiency skills. But okay, we are canceling, so that doesn't work for us. 8% increased damage for each aura. So that's, he did like have 4 of them. So that's 32 increased damage. That's pretty good. 30% increased area of effect. That could be good as well. Good quality of life, because his main skill is, I'm sure it says it's AoE. Yes, it is. So we've got a choice. Either area of effect or damage. So depends, if you have enough area of effect, you just choose, choose the damage. If the skill feels a little bit clunky to play, you just get more area. Non-curse or skills have increased duration. No, that's trash. Okay, so let's go with that. And what I'm not sure. That's a mechanic that I've always wanted to play with and never put the time into grinding just because I always play in SSF, so you have to do the legions, and I always refused to previously, before starting to do the exact same thing for essences, because it's just better. But I would never do low level legions, and I couldn't handle the ones at the level of maps that I was doing at the time, and I just never committed. But yeah, if I manage to get some jewels, that would be cool. I can put them in a build later on in the league, so it would keep it, fresh for playing new characters. So what does the geo give him? Passive areas are conquered by the Templars. Channel skills deal 4% damage per 10 devotion, 4 reduced duration of curses on you per 10 devotion. Does it show the change? So it plus devotion. Inner conviction, gain power charge instead of frenzy charge. That doesn't do much. It does. So just the first line does something for him. The other doesn't, because he's not getting any frenzy charges anyway. It would be huge for a build that has frenzy but wants power, but it's not the case in him. So what did you get from devotion? So per 10 devotion, so he has exactly 10, so that's just 4%. and just the 4% reduced duration, which doesn't look too great. I don't know if that's what is in game, but if it is, that's not a great joke. So I would say the build probably would, if unless I'm not understanding something, and if I am, please correct me down in the comments below. I really would like to find out what the mechanic is. But anyway, let's see. Does he have block 26%, spell 8, spell suppression 18. Let's go over here, because that's a very, if you don't know anything about whether a build is good or not from looking at the POB and the skills and the items, come to this bit and that will show you if a build is tanky or not. So effective hit pool, phase max hit pool are I think the two most important. You really need to try to get them as high as possible. If I really tried, if for example I want to play hardcore, which I probably never would, but if I did, I'd go for a character, because then in hardcore obviously you can't make a mistake, so you really cannot play the way that I like, because sometimes I just like to follow my gut rather than do the numbers, and you can't do that in hardcore because you're just gonna die. And I like to be able to afford to die, you know, here and there, so just to keep the game fun. But yeah, if I wanted to do a hardcore character, I would go to that bit and just try to find a POB that says that this number is about 100,000 and this one is about 110. The elemental ones, this one's 3 here, if they're about 50, 60,000, that's pretty good. The chaos max hit, that's probably the least important, but I would even get that over. To be honest, actually no, I'm talking rubbish. In the current iteration of the game, it is actually super important to have chaos. So yeah, you can't really neglect that. I would probably try to go for 50,000 at least, if a build meets these requirements. And this one is pretty, I mean, not too close on this one, but I would say even that would be, if you're okay with dying occasionally, I think that would be still pretty good build. But we need to figure, you'd probably have, because what is he going through? Let's see. You'd probably be able to level with something like a spell, or yeah, probably a spell, and then I wonder when he would transition. He'd need to have 100% critical strikes, because he's casting the spell when he's doing a critical strike, so he needs to be doing that 100% of the time, otherwise you're missing out on damage. So yeah, so we need to find out what exactly does he get 100% accuracy and 100% increased critical strike, so close to 100% probably. Let's see what nose is he getting. So you're starting from 1% increased damage, max energy shield. I think that's pretty much, that's maximum energy shield, increased evasion, so pretty defensive. Then going to again increase damage, crit strike, increase crit strike, so more of it, plus multi, again more. Let's see what is his, what's his accuracy and chance to do a critical strike. Let's go to calculations and cyclone. So we make sure that in this circuit group we've got cyclone showing, and attack speed, ignite, we don't do ignite. Okay, crit strikes. So crit chance, oh, that must be, so 81, 85. I'm not sure what this is, but that can't be multi, because that's a lot of multiplier. So he's probably got about 100% or so, if I'm correct, which I may not be. But yeah, he's not full 100% crit chance, but still pretty close. I just wonder if he's getting it all from the tree, because he's already getting some here. Recover 2% of energy on kill. Max energy shield, evasion rating. So he's built pretty defensively, at least on that side of the tree. What else you get here? Suppress damage, more max energy shield. So yeah, that's pretty much all he's investing in. And it's not that much, but it's still getting to a respectable amount of energy shield. I'll probably say in hardcore, I've not really done any endgame in hardcore, but if I were to try to play hardcore out, 8k ES would be the minimum that I would go. So he still goes a little bit over that, so maybe a build that I could do. I don't know, man. That sounds... I just don't know what... Right, let me actually go in game and see if I've got an assassin, because I want to see what gems... Right, I'll just stop here and say that when I started the video, I had a plan. I actually, in the previous videos, did say that I want to play a Herald of Agony character, and I did plan it out last night after I finished my previous video. I made a spreadsheet. I put all the the skill progressions, how you're gonna start, how you're gonna be like mid-campaign, how you're gonna be at the beginning of maps, end game, hard versions, etc. So I've got that all planned on my monitor, and then I just decided to basically speak about PoE Ninja, and then we are here now, and I'm considering starting with a Winter Orb custom crit character, which would be, actually that would be something that I've never played. Like, this playstyle has been popular pretty much all through the existence of Path of Exile, and it's always been like the zoom playstyle, which I honestly do enjoy when I think about it, because I did play Slinger type characters and they were really comfy to play. So okay, I know that that's not live, I'm just recording a video, but that is pretty turning moment for me in my plan for 320. All right, okay, I'll go through the gear, go through the items, and see what I could. Obviously, actually, do I need to go through the items in gear? Obviously, and gems, because he's 97. He must have a good idea. I just need to decide how do I get to Assassin cast on. Obviously, so yeah. So by the time that I get to Chaos Inoculation, I can switch to the Chaos skill. I can switch to Forbidden Right. And if I by that point have got, high critical chance, high accuracy, I could, go straight for like the cast when crit, or before that I can actually try, I can do Cyclone cast while channeling, because Cyclone is a channeling skill, so you've got option of 2 cast on different action type of gems. So before I've got a higher, lower percentage crit strike chance, I can go for the cast on while channeling. Once I up my critical strike percentage, I can swap to that one, because that would be more damage. I'm actually starting to okay, if I actually have something to play this with, because I think that I may not actually, how much time. If I go straight for Chaos Inoculation, how many points does it take me? So this one is getting, critical strike, so you'd want to get that. So potentially, I mean that one has got maximum, okay, so maximum life you don't need. Chance to suppress, you're gonna need after you're 90 at least, so you can leave that for that point of the game. You get to cast inoculation much quicker than that, so you drop, I mean, you only get 1 point, but you get that, you get 10% maximum energy shield, so it should eventually become useful when you get chaos inoculation. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I mean, I can be there at level 20. But there is no way that I can switch to Chaos Inoculation 20. Must be at least 50. Yeah, I'll probably do it at the end, just before maps, because I don't want to be spending currency to craft different armor sets twice. I prefer to be pretty much stringent with my currency, so I designate in my journey probably 3 or 4, I would say more like 3 different points of upgrading gears. And in between those points where I'll change over my character's gears in its entirety, I wouldn't just go like, okay, I'll change this, then I'll change that. I just save good items in between those points. And once I've got, say 2 or 3 different items in each character slot, I'll just play around with the character for like a couple of hours. Make sure that I'm maxed on resistances, have how high, higher life, etc., and then just try to switch the gear completely and get an upgrade. So try to maybe gain a few thousand life if you're playing a life-based character, or ES if you're playing ES. Although at the moment, why would you play an ES character in the current meta, to be honest? But yeah. So what else does he get? So okay, we decided we'll get this about level 70. Or even, I mean, in playing the regular game, because I definitely would not be playing Ruthless, that's not for me. I'm telling you from now, that sounds like a very cool idea, but I'm sure that you get tedious super quick and I'll just drop out of it. And from what I know, you can't transfer, like if you're playing in SF, if you decide you're bored and you just want to go to trade, you can do that, which also resets your progression in SSF, which is quite cool. That's probably something that I'll be doing nearer the end of the season, although with how many goals I've got this season, I probably won't have time. I don't think I'll have time to do any events, or maybe only because it's such a cool event, if there is a gauntlet, I'll probably participate at and I'll try to, document it. I've played in gauntlets a few times. I've managed to get to maps and I proceeded to die in my first map. And that was, I think, the last gauntlet that there is, because last league there wasn't, this league there wasn't one. So either a league ago or 2 leagues ago, I cannot remember, honestly. But yeah, I think outside of the gauntlet, I'll just be playing the league, because there is 40 out of 40, there is level 100, which is part of 40 out of 40, but anyway, that's still a separate goal for me. And probably I would like to get a level 100 more than 40 out of 40, just so I can, say that I've done it, because I'm sure it will be an insane grind. But I guess because I'm recording this just so I can, show you my journey, I've got more of a motivation. I'm sure that some of the things I'll be doing to get those videos out, It's stuff that I wouldn't do if I wasn't doing the videos, which is works out great because it provides, first of all, content for you, and on the other hand, for me, it, provides a longer progression and makes sure that I actually get to end game this time. But let's keep checking out that character. So he's going to here. He gets the reservation. I think that's some block. Yeah, plus damage, spell damage. Then he's getting more reservations. So yeah, he's probably getting those 2 reservations first, and then he can get like probably 2 auras. I think at that point he'll be comfortable with a 50% one, a 30% one, and maybe a banner. I'm not 100% sure about the numbers, but maybe without the banner, at least the 50 and 30% one. So that gives you a lot of defensive options, or if you want to do an offensive option, depends on what type of playstyle you have. I always go defensive because I just prefer to play that way, I suppose. Then that obviously comes later. What juice does he have? Increase chaos damage with just a touch of cruelty. 2% or 2 to all attribute, 17 armor, mana regen. What's that? Intelligence increase. Why is he stacking intelligence? Oh yeah, because he wants to get obviously more ES. Yeah, that's probably actually pretty huge for him. So these nodes, we've already seen them. They didn't look too great. Obviously, maximum power charge, because he's stacking that as well. That one is good because that's a lot of mana sustain. Chance to gain a power charge, so that's his generation for mana charges. And he's getting that from his ascendancy as well. But just more of it, I suppose. Then +1 power charge, and again, more damage per power charge. And he's getting that's a good cluster just for pure damage. Lose 10% of life and energy shield when you use it. Of life and energy shield when you use a chaos skill. Now, I don't know how that works. Because if he has 1 life, I mean, does it mean that when he uses... Oh, when you use a chaos... Right, but because he's doing the... he's doing the cyclone chance to cast when you inflict a crit. Okay, that's a clever way to go around it. And a clever way to get +1 to chaos. So that's actually huge for him. Okay, that's something that I would not have guessed unless I've looked at this guy's build. What's that? Maximum energy shield. I mean, at that point, I guess that's quite far into the game. So he'd be getting ES gear anyway, or at least something plus ES. So that would be at least somewhat useful. But maybe he will leave it after, just before doing the respec. So potentially he may just be getting some life notes on the way. I mean, that's life. Maybe he's getting the whole thing. I'm sure there is life here. Yeah, plus recover 2% of life on kill. So that's good because it is on kill. It doesn't say with attacks or with this or that. So that's just general. You kill something with your skill, you get 2% life. Now he's getting more increased armor, more resistance, plus ES. So yeah, he's just going naturally getting more stuff and just relying on his whatever way he chooses to do damage. But I wonder when he would transition. Does he have to have all 4 laps completed? He must. What's he? Oh wait, gain lose from critical strike. So okay, so that's probably the last one, or third for sure. Either last or third, because you want to get something, critical strike chance related, which this one is 15. It just gives you the chance to get So maybe that's the last one, because that's just damage or less damage. So less damage taken, or I mean reduced, and then more damage dealt by you. There is no critical strike chance increase, so that's probably the last one. So you could potentially, if the capping factor is your ascendancy, you can do it after the third one, potentially. I mean, that's cool, because I don't like playing builds that I really need to play very late. Let's see what his gear is, because he's got a lot of critical strike chance on his gear. Then, yeah, then we need to transition later. Let's see. So Imperial Skin, critical strike chance. That's local, so we're just looking at the implicit 30%. Is there anything else? Hits can be evaded. Okay, so that is actually really huge, because that way. So he must be. He needs to have that at least before he transitions. So that's requirement number 1. Yeah, so just use that crafts on that type of weapon that has this implicit. Plus, I wonder if there is a suffix or an affix that gives you global critical strike, that would be useful. But other than that, yeah, and then obviously you want to get spell damage. And maybe attack speed. I mean, that would be the ideal. You don't care about the actual damage. Let's go to what's he got. He's got a shield for shield charging. Yeah. I mean, I did remember that we were not impressed about the rest of the gear. Was there any accuracy anywhere? Gloves. No accuracy here. Boots, there can't be any accuracy. What about there? Just +1 minimum frenzy charge. That's cool. Oh, okay. Just the +1 basically. Minus mana cost. No accuracy. Oh yeah, he didn't need accuracy. I'm being stupid. But no increased criticals either. So okay, so there is no increased critical strike. So he must be just relying on the gem, because he did have power charge on critical. So that obviously adds it. He just relies on having critical. The power charges plus the, how much is it increased critical? Oh, that's just multi. Oh, but okay. So I suppose if you decide to play that, and for some reason you need more critical strike chance, you just swap that with lose some multi but gain chance. So you just need to play it by ear and what actually applies to you. So the build actually looks quite alright, and potentially I think that would be a build that I'll be quite happy to min-max, and I mean there will be a lot of stuff to min-max. And I know that my initial plan was to do Herald of Agony, and I spent half a day, I would say, into going over those POBs for you guys, choosing the best ones, and to be honest, it does look tankier. Even the starter version. So what I'll do is I'm gonna post the Hog stuff, the Herald of Agony stuff, because I mean, if you're more on the beginner side, I would recommend that you try the Herald of Agony guide. You'd have a really good time, find out quite a lot about the game. So I think that would be fun. So I'll definitely post. I'll show you what the document is like just now, so that I briefly just go over it. It is this thing, and I do apologize about the flashbang, but can't be helped. So this thing here, pardon me. So it is a Herotafagani Raider, and that is an incredibly tanky character and very easy to put together. That was one of my, I think, the first character that I've been able to beat bosses. That was many leagues ago. It was at a time when Sirius was the pinnacle boss. I managed to get it down on a Herotafagani character that was a Guardian, I believe, at the time. I did play a Guardian, so I never did get to play the Raider version, but I've been as a huge Rise QT fanboy. I know that he did play Raider Herotafagani. This was a pretty cool character to watch in Solo Self-Found. It just looked like a really interesting progression for me, so I decided to do that. But now, as you've seen happening live, that went completely out the window, and I will be starting that assassin guy. I think that would be pretty cool. But I'm gonna show that thing because I did spend some time, and I think if you're quite a new player, that should give you an easy, very comfy, and just a straightforward experience. These are the few progressions in here on the left hand side of the screen. We've got 4 progressions. This is because the skill gems that you need for Herotafagani, you only get them at some point quite late, and Act 3, after you complete a quest, you need to be able to play a different skill to get to that point. So we'll be doing a very easy leveling as a ranger, because you'd become a raider when we do our ascension. We would utilize Caustic Arrow and Toxic Rain that's been linked to Ballistic Totem. That's, for me personally, I level maybe 4 or 5 times a season. I don't overdo it, but it's a process that I always enjoy, just trying to be a little bit quicker the last time and just being more efficient, I suppose, is the right way to say it. Because, yeah, even me as a casual player, I do understand and I do agree with the fact that, you know, the real fun in the game starts when you get, for me to be at least, once you get at least some of the atlas completed. So you've got, I would say, at least 30 or 40 points in your maps. Then the gameplay becomes more hectic, more mobs in your maps, more loot. So I do enjoy, that point of the game. But getting there quicker is a pretty cool thing, even if you're not super die hard about it. That's how I would say, describe myself as. I'm just very chilled about it, but I do try to become more efficient, not to the point when gaming becomes some fun, because I hate that, and I've had it happen to me, previous leagues maybe, or when I used to play other games, because for me PoE is just like the one game, and it has been for, how long is it? I did start back in 2013, and now we are almost 2023, so it's very close, I would say, to about 10 years. And that's a testament, I think, to, first of all, the game and the people that I'm sure that there have been so many different people involved with it over the years. And I think that's it has a fantastic community, and it is just such a time sink for me. It's just such a cool game. So yeah, I can definitely say I'm a PoE enjoyer. I don't care what Reddit says. I'm not gonna praise the Chris Wilson video of Get Wrote Reddit. I mean, that's, pretty cool for me, but I can appreciate if people don't get it or don't agree with, that that sort of thing. But yeah, that for me just is that special thing about Path of Exile, and especially a League Start, which is just the best time of the 3 month cycle or however long it is. But yeah, let's go back to Hoak, to Herald of Agony. Now I'm sure that I'm not gonna go over the all the separate skills. I'm sure that you can do it in your own time. You can go to PoE Wiki, or we can get that information, I'm sure. The point is, I'll just quickly go over between each stage and tell you what things you need to have checked before you make the transition. So at first, until end of Act 3, you'd be going as that, as I said, Caustic Arrow, TR, Ballistic Totem. That would be your main skill. So you just alternate between them, or I think you start with like 2 or 3 totems. So you make sure that you got all the totems laid down, put the totems down, and then just use Caustic Arrow. And the way that Caustic Arrow works is, you can find that out, as I said. So you just alternate between the skills, and you just run through the campaign, just as quick as you want to be. You pick up just the stuff that you need. As one of my next videos is, I think that's super important. That's the top one thing that personally helped me become more efficient at the game, is how aggressive you are with your filter is, I think, a good way to put it, because how much time you spend picking up, identifying, and trading gear significantly slows you down. So the less stuff you get, the faster you are at completing click mechanics, which would be very important later on in the game for a multitude of reasons, which at some point I'm sure that if you watch the videos in that channel, it should be a topic at some point. And yeah, by the way, if any of you guys have got, like any ideas or like content you want to see, just, hit me up down in the comments. And, if there is enough interest, I'll definitely make a video about it. But anyway, back to the character. So if you want to have just a super easy league start, I would say go that. And even if you are in Trade League, that's a character that very few people play, so the price of your stuff would be very low. So if you're a trade player, which at heart I'm not, so most of the stuff later on is not gonna apply to trade. But yeah, if you want to get a very easy character, very cheaply geared, you can go for that on League Start. It will help you, complete at least your Atlas, and then you can just use it to generate cash. But anyway, that's not what I'm all about. I'm just about the SSF progression. That's the most interesting part in the game. So we start as this, and then we transition to Herald of Agony, and then we start playing our build, which I think is pretty cool. I hate transitioning late. Even anything after Act 3 is after you complete that quest, because at that quest you get quite a few relevant gems. Sometimes you don't get anything that's relevant for your playthrough. So if you're playing a character that doesn't get anything, you should just skip it. There's no point to do it. But if you do need the point, if you do need the gems, if it lets you transition into your build like we are, yeah, definitely do it. So we do Herald of Agony, Pierce, Vicious Projectiles, and Point Blank. Some of those gems you'd be able to get through the vendor. Some of them would be, most of the spell related stuff would be from the vendor, from the quest giver, I mean. So Herald, yeah, Vitality, Sniper's Mark, Spell Cascade, and Desecrate. Then that's your mobility. That will help you go through the campaign much faster. So I'm a big advocate of getting that set up on any character that can allow it. Or another good one is that jump movement skill that Marauder gets. But obviously you need some strength for it. So either that one, either Shield Charge or the jumpy movement skill, that would be, they would get you through the campaign pretty quick, which allows you to experience more of the game, the end game of Path of Exile at a much earlier point, which is advisable when you want to reroll multiple times a season, which I do. Then your source of activation, because to get, basically the gist of the build is that to get Herald Fagan is a minion, and it spawns, you gain more virulence every time that you inflict the poison, so you need to be inflicting poisons constantly to keep the minion, alive, and, to get it more beefed up so that it deals more damage. You do that through a Stormbrand set, which is just 3 skills: Stormbrand, faster cast, and chance to poison. So you get 40% chance to poison here just from the skill. Herald Fagan gives you another 20, so that's 60% chance to poison off the bat. So this is your, like, at this point you just start transitioning. You don't need any particular items, you just need to have, that needs to be in a 4-link. Pardon me. So I would say at the beginning of, while we are doing the first part, we would be looking for, our loot filter would be bow oriented, so because we'd be using bow skills. I would say by the end probably of Act 2 you should have your, ideally all you need is 2 4-links that have got those arrows, those colors. Once you get them, you don't need anything else, and you can transition your loot filter, I'll say at the beginning of Act 3, to a spellcaster based filter, because you want to get some wands, you want to get some ES gear, or you want to get specific amulets. So you don't care about any uniques or anything. You can just progress with just loot found just off the floor. Now this is the start of maps. At this point, you should try to make sure that each one of your gear pieces of your weapon has got a relatively high life roll. Now to see, because there are different tiers of each and every row in the game, there is different tiers, so each tier has got a specific value that can roll from to. And once you press out in game, there is a specific function in the game in one of the menus, and I can't remember at the moment what it is called, but you can either enable or disable it. So if you enable it, you've got the option to see when you press out which level the number is. So if you have, I would say you should try to get items that have got at least tier 3 life, either tier 3 or higher. So either 3, 2, or 1. Number 1 is the best. So if you can get tier 1 life on all your pieces before maps, you'd be super hardcore viable. But for any softcore playthrough, unless you spend time farming the last areas in Act 10, which I personally don't like. I just like to be saving some stuff just to make sure that I'm resistance caps, because that's the only thing in softcore that matters at the end. If you have, I've managed to get into maps without actually dying. It just depends on what build you're playing, but I've been in like tier 1 maps with 3,000 life. Even maybe, I think the lowest I went was 2,900. But I think if the build you're playing is pretty easy to navigate, it doesn't require too many buttons, and you're quick about it, you can, because the more you play, the more you learn to predict, enemy movement. I think the way that you move your character around as well, the way that you click the mouse, you gradually become better at that as well. And that is quite a huge, pardon me. And yeah, that becomes a pretty big part of being better at the game. But you'd eventually get there. That's just something that comes from playing the game. And if you enjoy the game and just like to play it constantly, you get better at it naturally. So these are the skills. Now, what happens is that if you notice here, we are getting our poisons with a spell. So we would have we would just be using a wand, and ideally we would want the type of wands that had the minion implicit, the ones that gave more minion damage. But when we get to maps, we want to switch to melee. We'll do a setup, which is Cyclone, Life Up, and Chance to Poison. Now, why is that? I've put a quick note so you can read through the whole thing in your own time, because this document, I'm just gonna put that in the description. I'll put a link to it, so you can just download it, link it to yourself, and just look at it in your own times. But the difference is that most classes of claws, which is the weapon of choice that you'll be using, have got one implicit, which, well, there are two actually different implicits with different values depending on the type of claw that you find. There is one type of implicits, one type of wands that claws that give you plus mana and plus life per enemy. I think it was per enemy hit by your attacks or something like that. So the one thing you need to be doing is, doing attacks, and hence Cyclone. Cyclone is an attack. Now, if we go with Claw, we can roll a specific modifier that says chance to poison. Usually it's, can't remember the exact values, but I think it was from plus 20 to some unique claws had, like, I think there is one specific one. I've put a note somewhere, so if you read all of it, there was a note that, I think it's actually here, yeah, the explanation why you swap from a spell to activate poison to, inflict poisons, to melee to apply poisons. And I did mention a few good unique items. Scourge was nice. So I think that one, Mortem Morse, I think that one had like 60%. So just between that claw and the 60% you get, you're just capped. So if you find Mortem Morse, you get 120. You need 40%. So I think it was generally like 25%, or maybe it was 25% the maximum roll. I can't remember. I did have in my Herald of Agni character that I used to play many leagues ago, I had 25% chance to poison, and the rest of that gets you to 85. So I think the tree would give you some chance to poison. Yeah, you actually needed to do, if you wanted to get capped, you needed to pick up the chance to poison on the tree, because that was global. And if you had a claw with chance to poison it, obviously the chance to poison would be just local, so it only applied to attacks, not casting spells. So I'm gonna include the POB for that. There will be 3 different POBs which I have gotten from PoE Ninja, the website that I showed you in the beginning. Now, as a disclaimer, any build that you see on that channel would not be created by me. That would be just builds that I've got from other, just maybe people that are playing the game, because you can find their public profiles on PoE Ninja if they reach a specific, a position in the ladder, high enough, or if you know the name of someone's account, you can just type it up in in the PoE wiki, and it will bring up their characters. So yeah, that is pretty important. So right, let's get, this is gonna be your beginning of map setup. So I think the only thing that changes is that you get to determination. Oh no, that's my bad. I forgot to swap it over. So actually, yeah, in here at that point when you swap over, yeah, you already have access to determination. It's at quest in the library. So that one obviously will be determination. Do you get another curse? No, that's later on. Yeah, so this should be your, now this is where how much you want to get invested in the game comes into play, because I find that PoE can be enjoyable at any level of time investment. Many people would make you think if you were to go on Reddit and, read posts, oh no, I cannot have the top 1% of, well-wrote items, let's say, or, oh, I don't have a 6 tier 1 item, my league is ruined, I'm not in tier 16 by end of day 2, oh my god, something's been nerfed. I don't know, for me this attitude towards the game is just goes against having fun, or at least what having fun means to me personally. I enjoy just exploring the game, taking it easy, maybe I think setting goals is very important, because when you set a specific goal, whatever that may be, maybe you want to learn something about a certain mechanic, because there is a lot of different mechanics that you can invest into the atlas, and you'd maybe decide to invest your points into certain things one league, next league it maybe certain other things, and this way you'd find what type of content you experience, because not all content in Path of Exile is tailored to you. You may enjoy bestiary, you may think that Delph is completely shit, or you may adore whatever system it is, you may either like it or dislike it, and it's cool. This is how you actually find out what you like or what you dislike, or if you were instead just reading someone's advice, or I know that goes against what I'm showing you something and offering it as a starter, but that's the thing, I'm just offering it to you, I'm just showing you how I would do it, because as I said, I was planning to start with that until we've had this brief detour to a completely different character that I'm probably gonna do something like that, because that video is getting a little bit long, so I don't want to make it even longer if I go through each act and see what gems are available, because obviously we obviously need to level with something different. But yeah, I'll do that off stream, and in this video I'll include links to the POBs as I offered for the Herald of Agony. I'll include that spreadsheet would be just your progression. I just find it personally that's a very easy way to just see what you need to accomplish for each transition. So this is your gems here, and this is just like my recommendation, what type of items you need to, what thresholds you need to reach to get to the next point. Because this is what Path of Exile is all about. It's about mapping out what you need to achieve, gear-wise, tree-wise, skill-wise, etc., before you move on to, each next part of the game, of the progression, which, it starts with the campaign, then tier 1 maps, then yellow maps, then red maps, then red maps with, a lot of different mechanics, then, scarabs, however you want to juice it. And obviously there is many different ways of juicing. You can do light juicing, things that I've not even done because it's just so time consuming, but I don't know, in the future I may decide, man, I just want to try and do it. And again, we come back to that point that just PoE is so diverse that it's a game that you can literally play for life, because there is just always something cool about it. And in here is basically, because I want to target these videos to maybe people that don't have a specific subscriptions to to a lot of other channels, people that don't keep abreast to, I don't want to use the word the scene, because I just hate it. I think it's a really stupid concept, but don't keep up with the people that create content for Path of Exile, or any media sources or whatever. You just log in, play the game, you get to a wall, you're like, okay, I smash keyboard, I can't get past, that point, what the hell, man, I spent like 2 weeks getting through the campaign. So I'll show you how to get through the campaign and maybe even find it fun. But at the least you get, this thing to guide you through the campaign, and here I've even included a little bit more. Now, bear in mind that this is a different class, so this is just a possibility to reroll if you enjoy the Herald of Agony playstyle, because I'll agree with some people that it is an acquired taste. I mean, I enjoy the skill very much. You know, that that type of temporary minions playstyle, I don't know, something about it I just find very comfy, and it's like a comfort pick for me. If I don't know how League start, if let's say patch notes inspire me with, okay, this is a great new skill. I mean, okay, I never do new skill, so forget about that. If it's, let's say, I don't know, man, just yeah, something got really buffed, and it was something that I wouldn't be opposed to playing, I'll probably go with that because it makes sense. But if, like, for example, the patch notes this time around, they were not, I can't really say there was something exciting. They were good in other ways. They did give you a lot of you know, new goodies or things that have been improved in my opinion, and some, you know, a few just quality of life features which were really cool, which I didn't even talk about in the previous video, but I'm sure that you've probably seen the review, or maybe not, maybe you haven't, but if you've not seen it and you do want to see it, because it was a pretty interesting watch. If you're interested in Path of Exile, and if you're watching that video, you probably are interested in Path of Exile. So even if that's just the one thing that you do, go and watch that review. You can go to just twitch.pov. I'm sure that you can figure out how to find the link, so I'm not gonna post that one below. And then just, I think it was the official GGG channel that posted it. So they have it saved as a video, so go watch that. And this is just like 2 bonus characters, shall we say. So let's say you get to red maps, you get to T16, and you're just chaining. You know, you're doing league mechanics, you're doing legions, whatever you decide to go for, and you get some good items. And you enjoy, obviously, you need to be enjoying the playstyle, because if you don't enjoy the playstyle while you're playing it, just remember the first thing I showed you, that website, pov.ninja.com. This is how I would usually find some inspiration about builds, or I would like learn about mechanics in the game, because yeah, if you want to read up on it and like go to the POE and read about all the mechanics, man, that's gonna take you like literal years. So if you want something, somebody that came up with the build, because there is a lot of, you know, creators in the POE community, which also by itself is so diverse. There is people that do any type of content. There's people that do, you know, how-to guides or build guides or crafting guides or trade guides. That's really cool. I mean, that is super cool that you can, you know, look at the game and play the game and look at it from so many different perspectives. And my perspective is the SSF early progression. That's just the thing that excites me about the game. And then the next level, when you get some items, you get to reroll, you get to do more complex characters, or characters that only become effective later on, which you'd never do as a starter because you had no guarantee that that you'd get the item. And that's the cool thing about SSF. In trade, obviously, you can plan out, you know, what build you're playing, but my mentality is all I plan before a league start is the first build. I just want to get like easy build that I know will get me to the point where I can do T16 pretty quickly. I can add on a few mechanics and just farm it until I get to the next point, which is, you know, these 2 guys. But in SSF, it's gonna be a challenge. I mean, because I will not be doing the Raider as the league starts, and I'll be doing the Winter Orb thingy. I'll probably get to the point where I would have, because the first variant it didn't require specific jewels, I think, or maybe there was one, but no, I think it was just unique. So I think it required like 4 different uniques, which these POBs, again, they are from PoE Ninja, and I'm really sorry that I should have actually probably written down the name of the character's profile that I got them for, because the builds are pretty cool actually. But yeah, next time I plug someone's build out, definitely get the names right, and I do apologize for not doing it today. This is if these guys ever get wind that their builds are on this video, you know, no disrespect, great builds. I do enjoy them. I do enjoy that Herald Fagni playstyle, so it was really cool that I did manage, because that wasn't represented a lot on PoE Ninja. There was like, I think I went through like 10 different builds, and I had to discard like 7 of them because they were either too squishy or there was something wrong. Most of the time it was just something wrong with the mana reservation. It was showing that you're in the negative, so I just couldn't find a way to make the mana situation work. So these builds I just scrapped because I wasn't really going to take time to correct them. I potentially could, but you know, what's the point? Because I did like the other one. So this is, again, your general starter if you just want to get through the game and get through, you know, the normal game, and then get to the point where you're doing bosses, and maybe, you know, do your first Uber boss. I think that would be a very good character, or at least, even if you don't get to that point this league, you'd get to learn a lot of boss mechanics, because although it's a very tanky character, if you compare it to other archetypes, it does deal damage a little bit slower. So while it is dealing damage, you get to run around because you don't need to apply the damage yourself. If you go with the spell, if you do the attack, so it's a little bit of a trade-off. But if you do Cyclone, you get some gain on hit from the claw, but you need to be, you know, applying the poisons constantly once the virulence stack starts going down. If you do the spell, you have this extra mobility because you just need to cast the brand once and it attaches to the boss. But then you get a little bit less sustain from the life gain on hit because you can't get it on a wand. Plus, you need to invest. I mean, again, it's a trade-off. You either keep the same tree that you'd see attached to this video, or if you want to get 100%, there is like a few notes which you just type in PoE Wiki. When you get to the tree, there is a search bar at the bottom, so you just type chance to poison, and that will show you where these exact notes. There's like 3 or 4 notes on your side of the tree, and you just need to go to them. You'd still have, I did the like a quick math because I did want to see if it was gonna work and just copy, which it did. So yeah, if you want to learn about boss mechanics, if that's something that you've never experienced before, definitely go with the brand still, brand way. But if you feel comfortable, if you've maybe done some bosses before, like once or twice, you know some mechanics, maybe you feel that you're gonna avoid the like slams or anything big, you'd be getting from cycling in the right way, because it takes a little bit of time to get used to it. At first it is quite clunky, I'll give you that, and you feel squishier because you're not doing it right, but with experience it comes very quickly. And then from being squishier you go to, tankier, because you're able on the one hand to avoid, any slams or any animations that the boss is doing, plus you're attacking, so you're getting life on hit, so it's healing you. But it takes time. It's easier to start with the brand actually, and maybe save transitioning to melee here when you make sure that you've got like a really good claw. So you'd save some claws, you'd have some essences. So yeah, probably, yeah, definitely that would be the play. I'm not gonna change the document, so if you didn't watch the whole video, sorry bro, you'd not know, but you'd still be okay, so that's all fine. These are the two inspirational builds. If you just want to stick with it and you find some items, the uniques are listed here, and you want to reroll a Juck, you can get an even better Herald of Agony that will be much tankier, but again, needs unique items. If you're unlucky with unique items, but, or at least less lucky, because you still need one, I mean, the very important unique for this one, which, again, it's in here. But this variation focuses on, it needs like 2 large specific clusters and 3 medium specific clusters. So if you don't get uniques, but you get some good clusters, plus the 1 mandatory unique for this one, which is the same, it's on here as well, you can go with this variant. And in here you've got some different ways to apply your poisons. Again, this one is Winter Orb, which is with Winter Orb. Oh yeah, chance to poison and Winter Orb, because again, Winter Orb is a spell, so maybe you think that it won't poison, but anything that hits, which spells do as well, it can poison. So you get the 40% chance. So this one is a skill, so it goes back to the brand style. It's just a different variation. That's a little bit more advanced, I would say. Stormbrand would be just the easiest, because you just cast it and that's it. This one, I think it auto targets, but you still need to keep the button pressed because it's a channeling skill. So as soon as you let go of the button, you stop channeling. So I would say go with that if you want just easy going through and getting poison and so on. This one is, I think that one was melee as well. Ball lightning. I mean, this one is, especially if you get, if there was a way to get greater multiple projectiles, that would feel quite good as well, but you still need to press, so that's the most like automated way to do it. Plus it only needs 3 links. This one is 4. Oh no, that's just 3, yeah. That one is 3 and that one is 3 as well, lifed up. So obviously here the guys are doing Herald of the Herald of Agony is 6 linked, but because it is a reservation, the Herald of Agony is a reservation skill. The more supports you put, the more money you need to reserve. So this is just a 4 link when you transition, and this one doesn't go past 6 link because you cannot afford the reservations. These builds somehow manage, so you can go. I'm gonna post basically there's gonna be 3 POB, so that's your early Herald of Agony POB, medium, and then you've got a late one. There is not gonna be a POB with that because that's like, I mean, but I think by level 30 you should be, so you'd pretty much use that POB and you're just gonna use those skills at first, and then once you get the skills, you use the same tree, you just get those gems and start being, you know, Herald of Agony. So there's gonna be different trees for that, plus I get trees for that one and that one, so you can see all the POBs, all their items, and I think the skills, you can see them better in here, but you can see the items and you can see the POB. So if you know Herald of Agony is something that you decide to go for, that's pretty good. It's an easy way to get into it, I would say. But what's out this I'm gonna cut that video here. I'm actually, gonna figure out the leveling for the other guy, the assassin that I decided against all hopes to start as. So I need to do that because I've not done leveling as an assassin, as a shadow, in a very, very, very long time. I think the last time I played that must have been at least. So we are what now? That's 319. When was the last time when I played a shadow? Shadow, yeah. Must have been like before 310. I did a Toxic Rake Miner that was a Saboteur. It was a very enjoyable and I think very meta character at the time. But I've not played I've not played a miner still. I've not played a miner yet after this one. Because it was, and it still is, I mean, the way that mechanically the playstyle feels is just super jarring for me. So it was very rewarding, very easy, and it was an overpowered playstyle. But I hated just having to constantly spam, detonate mine or like wait for a specific sequence to happen. That was just annoying as hell. So yeah, that's why I enjoy builds like that, like Hero Tefagari. It's just got more quality of life. If you build it, if you get a wand with, there is a craft that makes your wand cast any gems that are, any skill gems that are socketed into it anytime that you use any skill. So it's like automating any 3 or 2 plus a support skills that you want to get, automate. So you can get this playstyle pretty brain dead, which some people hate. I find it sometimes I have a craving for that playstyle. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I want to play something, more involved. But there are many ways to play any build, and that's what I find so fascinating. That we can always come back to a build and try and experience it in a different way, whether it would be due a different ascendancy or different class altogether or different maybe skill setup. Always makes the build a little bit different. So I don't know. I don't get how people get bored of the game, even if there is nerfs or there is always something cool to play. I mean, I don't care what it is. I just want to, solve the puzzle again. Just play with the progression. That's just what I like about the game. But yeah, this is all going to be down in the comments. Next video, I'll try to push as many videos before next Friday. Next Friday for sure I will not be doing any content. I'll just chill because my league starts are at 8 p.m. my time, so I usually play until like, I don't know, depends. Actually, sometimes I'll do an all-nighter, but that's not happened in a while. I'm getting old. I'm 37. I can't do all-nighters anymore. But yeah, I'll do take it very chill. I don't force myself to play too quick, but yeah, by the end of day 1, I'll be in maps for sure, and then I'll get like a proper sleep. I mean, I would actually play, then sleep, then play, and that would be the end of day 1 for me. So I would sleep in a sleep session. I'll take it quite chill. I'll get a relatively quick build, and then fresh day 2. We start mapping, we start progressing, we start hopefully finding interesting things, and I'll be making videos. I don't know how often, I don't know how much I'll play, but yeah, I'll try to put out as much of the journey as possible. So if you have any interesting following this type of like diary like videos, that's what I'll be putting out. So we'll start with this. I'm going to do one, just the same format. We'll actually in the other one, because it is new archetype for me, I'll actually go through the tree as well, because there's not going to be a progression tree like for these ones. For these ones, remember, each of this is a tree, so you just follow the tree once you transition. So you just do what's basically in the POBs. There is not a lot of deviation, so I think it's pointless for me to go over it. However, the other build, I'll definitely go to it, because that's just completely new to me. So that would be beneficial for me as much as for you probably. I'll do one of these. So I'm actually working tomorrow, so it may take me, I don't know if I'll post the video tomorrow, maybe probably Monday or Tuesday night at the latest. I'll try to get all the videos done by, I won't be posting anything post Thursday night, so anything that I'll be putting out for the League Star before I do like actual, updates, daily updates for how the character is going, because I think it's pretty much, the first 1-2 weeks, every day something changes with your gear or your skills. Post week 2 for me, for playing at my pace, not a lot changes. You may change your atlas tree, but character wise, your gear doesn't change that often. But that is a pretty interesting part for like doing meta crafts and being more experimental with your gear. So probably after week 2, that will become the focus of the channel. We'll see how much we can actually start getting into min-max territory, and then I'll just try to explain it in an easy way, so that you don't have to go out and test it and cry when your essences don't hit and you just waste the day. But yeah, that point is far. The early progression up to that point, I think it could be done in a very chill way. In here, yeah, you need to start grinding a little bit. But yeah, it's a GGG game, so you need to enjoy grinding, obviously. So my next, I'm thinking probably next 3 videos I'm gonna do one about my actual starter. Then I want to do one about a build that I found that I'm potentially thinking about doing, like my fast mapper. So ideally, what I'm thinking is, okay, it's a 3 character strategy. So the first one is going to be the assassin that you're going to roll, or if you prefer to roll, this one, the raider guy, that's your, starting point. Then you get to complete your atlas, you get some items, maybe you get some unique. Then what I will do is, depending on actually what uniques drops, because then we have a 2-pronged choice. We've got a 2-branch decision dependent on what we find, which is the cool thing about SSF. You never know how it will turn out. It is like a box of chocolates. It may be really bad, or it may be amazing, and you have no control over it. To some people, this is horrible. This is the most unenjoyable things. To people that approach games like I do, it's the coolest things. And that's what I like about gaming. You can see it from so many different perspectives. So this will be the a perspective of this channel. So if you find it relatable, if you like to struggle early game, if you want to find like a reasonable, good build that you get to T16s and get you started on farming, certain mechanics, getting certain resources, getting to bosses, hopefully at some point getting to Uber bosses, getting to 40 out of 40. This is what I'll try to put out for you guys. So after, it's like 2 high-end videos, because I want to start off with with just a general labor character to complete the outros, then I want to get a bosser, which would be this guy, either of those two. This should be a really good bosser. So because getting to level 100 is a pretty tedious thing, and usually it is an option. It always features as an option in the 40 challenges each league. So that's pretty much a mainstay. If you get a level 100 character, you complete one box in one of the challenges. And I want to do that, outside of just completing challenges. So potentially this, because it's also a very durable character, as they say. It may not be the fastest, but you do not die, and not dying becomes, in my opinion, although I've not, experienced grinding, but I think my highest level character, which is, funnily enough, the Herald of Agony guy, is like 96 point... It was 96.9, and then I repeatedly died 3 times because I was an idiot, and I just kept coming back to the mob that killed me, which is a stupid thing. Never do that. This is one of the first things that you learn if you want to either A, play hardcore, or B, get to 100, which, I'm in category B. You learn very fast 2 things. Certain map modifiers you never roll, or you always roll over. You change them. You use a Chaos Orb. If you get them, it is very probable to die, and if you're not someone with extremely good, technical ability of the game, you will die too. This is definite. It's not a chance, you die. And if you are thinking like I were in that situation, you want to go back and kill that goddamn mob, because it's an ARPG, you die 3 more times, so you lose 40% experience. I was at about 0.90% there, so I needed 10 more percent, but instead I lost 40, so now I needed 50, and at that point my desire to play the character died. So yeah, now imagine that was level 97. After 95, I think each consecutive level becomes insanely more time consuming than the previous one. So imagine if you want to get to 100, you basically want, if you're a player that technically is inefficient but otherwise manages to build a durable, tanky character, I think that character would get there first rather than a quick character, because the other character, which this one I know who I've gotten it from. I'll give the guy a shout out because his content is amazing, although he has a completely different mindset towards the game from me. He's proper trade league, softcore, I meant. Guy, he just runs maps that are just out of this world with like a tornado shot type characters using what's the name of that build? It's not like Headhunter, but it doesn't give you the modifiers of the mobs, but it gives you stacks, and the stacks give you more cast and attack speed and probably more damage. I'm not sure exactly because exactly what the stacks give you, but basically they make you like on crack. And actually that build looks pretty cool. And this guy, Snoobay85, is based his whole channel around playing that type of character, and I think each league he updates his 1 hour long build guide. So I'm not really gonna go over the POB because the guy's done it. I think he's put in like super detailed notes how you get through everything. So if you go to I'm gonna post the POB down below. I'll just label like the different characters. So you've got your starter, your bosser, depending on what you find, or your tornado shot fast mapper character. So once you've played your starter for a while, I'll say if you play for like a month, you get like tons of things. And if you do a lot of mechanics, especially heist, I mean, every mechanic can give you some really good items. It just depends on look. Like you could be, doing not the altar. What was that mechanic that you go into like arenas and you need to kill all the monsters them, and before that you're in that area. I think they were called altars as well. Anyway, even you may be doing that, which generally it's a mechanic that most people hate. They say it's awful. It's for softcore treat. It's super unrewarding. To me, it's super rewarding. So I just, I mean, super enjoyable. No, I used the wrong word. It's super enjoyable. I just like doing the mechanic, and sometimes you get super lucky. I can't remember. I've got, but I didn't have the currency even to. I wish that thing was on camera, but at this point when I was playing, I didn't actually record my footage. I wish at that point that I did, because I found a 6-link chevron's wrappings, and I didn't have currency enough to even to to defer it. So I just had to let it go. I hated myself. It was on my last reroll. But yeah, you roll the first character, and then by the time that you get some items, you roll. If the item is, build specific enough or build enabling enough, should I say, you just roll another build. You go on to, I mean, there is a few useful resources. There's like PoE wiki, PoE DP, PoE crafting. It depends what type of information you need to go. But let's say if you need a unique, if you find some unique item, very often, because there is so many unique items, most of the time they'll be just awful items. But you can spot that pretty easily. It's just, but sometimes what you'd find is an item that you're just, find some unique item, you identify it, and you're reading through the different lines, and you spot a line that says something that you can't understand exactly. Why is that line there? You're not sure. Is it good? Is it bad? How does it, tie in? When you come to that idea, to that point, you go on Google and put in the name of the item, put PoE unique item or whatever, and then type build. And then it may be a case that this is maybe a single item that you need for some super cool build, or find a build that requires maybe 2 or 3 uniques, or some manageable amount of uniques, then that can start you off on a path to build towards that build. And that's the cool thing about SSF PoE. That's why I foresee myself playing that mode for a long time. I'm not interested in Ruthless, I'll say it from now, but just SSF reset is so cool, man, because it just allows you to build towards different characters. Down the line, maybe I'll get bored of it eventually and want to experience PoE from, the trading sites, playing softcore, maybe just do it for a league, just as a self-challenge. That may be interesting, I don't know. But yeah, PoE is a diverse game, so this will be the 3 build character videos. So Herald of Agony, the Juggernaut, Herald of Agony, and then Snoo Base, Tornado Shot. You'd get like no, what am I saying? No, it should be just this video. Sorry, it's been a long day and my brain is turning to mush. The video is going pretty low, but I just wanted to chat a bit about PoE once I turned on the camera, so it just turned out long. It is what it is, but down in the description of that one you're gonna have 3 separate POBs for the starter characters, not the starter character. Then for one of there's 2 variants of the Juggernaut Herald of Agony. You'd have a POB which is just like final version. This should be the version where when you'd basically just transition, I don't know, you can Google, because you played as a Juggernaut, so you'd have to start as a barbarian. What am I speaking? Yeah, you'd be playing as a Juggernaut, so different starting class, but you can type Juggernaut's most popular leveling or whatever. I'm not a leveling expert. I just try to play it for myself, become, better, but I definitely am not the person to explain to you how to do it. I've done that just because I was going to go to the lane myself, so that's just a handy thing I was going to do. I've definitely was not planning on leveling as that, so what you'd get is just the POBs, but maybe you find them interesting. Maybe you do find those items or those jewels, then you roll them. Maybe you say, man, I've got the items. I'll try to figure out how to get to that point, or when I can transition, or what skill to use, because that, in my opinion, is the most interesting part of one of the most interesting things of the game for me. When I know that earlier on I said I don't like playing a skill that you have to play as a different skill first, but sometimes as a challenge, it's an interesting way to solve the game, because swapping trees or swapping skills can be a bit finicky. I just prefer, it's more efficient just to have one setup and just go, but sometimes you do want to do the puzzle thing. So depending on how you feel, you decide what you want, just something that's figured out for you, or something that you can turn into a personal challenge to become better at the game. It's up to you. But I'll put all of the POBs down in the description. Next video, I'm gonna do one video which would go over, that would be relevant to the video put out for the assassin, which I'll do, same format. I'll go over the POB and I'll go over the skill transitions, because you would need a transition for that one, and then I will show you what starting filter out has. So basically, the way that I use my filters is, for the campaign, I use TIE Killer's filters. If you don't know who he is, he's insanely talented. What's the word for it? Someone that just plays the game the fastest way possible. He doesn't care about the lore. He doesn't care about anything. He wants to go fast. He gets the campaign done in 4 hours, and I can't go under 10. I'm not as good as Tai. No. But yeah. Anyway, if you want to get tips on leveling, yeah, Tai's content is very interesting as well. It has definitely given me a lot of insight, not so much into the technical skills, because there is a lot of technical skills when it comes to leveling, but more about the way that he thinks about, getting resources, how much items to pick up, how to manage your resources through the campaign, what items to look for. But yeah, basically I use his starting filters, but then usually when I get to maps. But yeah, definitely by the time you're level 70s, sometimes much earlier, depends on your item RNG, because if you get good drops, you may actually swap to your actual filter at like level 50 and just not find any items for a little while and just go super quick. If you get good items that cover all your requirements, you just blast, you just go through the campaign, you just run through each zone and just queue enough to make sure that your flask are recharged. That's it. But I'm gonna go to the website that I use for filters, which is Filter Blades XYZ. There's 2 different filters. One is that website, which basically you create a profile and it gives you different presets. It gives you, automatic options to add on stuff just by pressing buttons. The other one is a Word document which is approved by pretty much anyone that wants to be speedy. But it's a bit more finicky. You have to go through like edit, I mean not edit, but like add on signs and remove certain signs to basically you have to open up the Word file and play around with what it's written in it, which is a little bit annoying, at least for my style. So I only use filter blades pretty much, and I'll show you what my starting filter for maps is, and I'll also go a little bit over when you should consider altering your filter, what items to look for. I mean, items you pretty much you stop looking for rare items very quickly, and once you've acquired the highest item level items so that you can craft on them, which you probably, if you're playing SF, you need like, depends how much you want to grind, but if I had like 3 or 4 different sets of each inventory slot, that gives you the ability to like craft in between them. If you have some, if you hit a a good throw on one, but it's not exactly what you're looking for, but it's still too good to roll over, you save that one and then you craft on the next one, and then when you run out of, because if you want to min-max, you can definitely min-max, and that's exactly, you can decide how much min-maxing you want to do and just have fun at any level pretty much. So we'll definitely do a video on, I'm not going to call it like educational, because I'm not going to go over like filter blades features. I'm sure that you're adults and you can do that for yourself. You can find out how to use the website, but I'll show you how I set up my filter. I'll show you what decisions regarding gameplay affect how I set up my filter. What currencies I keep on, what currencies I don't bother, or I stop at certain point, and what the minimum amounts of currency I want to get for like low tier drops, because the less you find, the quicker you are, but you don't want to have too little of certain resources. So it's a balancing act, and you become better at it the more you play a certain archetype or a certain skill, etc. But yeah, we'll do a video on that, so that if you decide, again, that's going to be just for the assassin guy, so that's not going to be applicable to the Herald of Agni. So if you want to follow that build, I mean, I don't know, man. If there is enough interest for me to do filter for Herald of Agony, post down below. If there is enough people wanting me to do that, I'll do a video. Otherwise, I won't bother. But I'll definitely do a video for the assassin, because I'll be needing a filter, so I may as well just talk over the microphone while I'm just creating the build, a filter for myself. So it would be a cool like demonstration what you have to think about in a filter, what shortcuts you can get, etc. Or what items to keep on the filter, even if they're not good like as items. If you just want to like use them for something else, that's something you maybe didn't think about. I definitely have learned a lot from different content creators. I'm not gonna list them because there's a lot of different people that have either maybe said something in a video or in some comment or whatever, and that's just stuck with me. So I'll try to convey, all of that, and hopefully you'll be able to improve your filter game as well. But other than that, I forgot the big one, the most interesting one for me personally is, well, I need to wait for the Atlas 3 to be released, which I have no idea. I mean, probably it will be like, I don't think it will be after Wednesday, but as soon as it's released, I'll spend a day maybe, or like half a day, or however long I feel like, probably But yeah, I'll take it easy. I'll spend the day just going over the tree, thinking about different ways, because that's the cool thing about the LSC. You can fiddle with it in so many ways, and just like, oh, but this strategy gives you this, but oh, but that one gives you that, and that's so fascinating for me just to play with the different opportunities. And when you actually start playing, I mean, sometimes the strategy will not work out. It will like, I should have gone the other way, or I shouldn't have removed essence, or I should have added that. But sometimes it hits right, and you're like, man, I'm so happy I tried this method this leak. So yeah, I'll definitely do a video on what I think. And again, the tree that you have is very much dependent on what type of character you're doing. So the one that I'll start with, from what I think, because I've never played it, but it seems like quick-ish mapper type of character. So I'll do a mapping strategy. If you did the Herald of Agony, I don't know, you may want to do something different. But yeah, I'll give you a video about the Assassin's Atlas tree, the loot filter, so that should be at least 2 other videos, which I'll post between now and Thursday night. If you guys want to do a particular video, or if I think about, I get like a shower thought moment, and think about something that I want to talk about, or that I want to go over, I'll do a video, but I don't have any topic about that in my head for the moment. So for now, that will be it, guys. And just thanks for stopping by. I know that video became quite longish, but yeah, had fun talking about my league start plans. If you want to use any of the spreadsheets or POBs, they'll be in the description. Or if you don't fancy any of those builds, just go to POB Ninja, have a look and think about what you want to start at, and just have some fun next Friday. I'll see you in the next videos, and keep grinding exiles. Have a good one. Thanks, bye.